Hi, Ginger. This is Jeff Allen.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing? All right?
I am. I'm excited. I'm ready for you to make me laugh.
Who needs that kind of pressure?
Exactly. Well, you're supposed to be able to make people laugh on cue, man. Like
Is that it? Yeah. I
it,
wish my wife would picked up on that for 32 years. She doesn't seem to laugh a whole lot at my stuff anymore.
I think she probably laughs when you maybe not in the room. Like
That's it.
that's
Yeah.
most
I know
wives
she
do.
laughs a lot when she talks to her girlfriends.
Yeah, exactly. Us women kind of tend to laugh more, at you than with you.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. I honestly, I don't even remember the last time I interviewed a comedian because we normally get authors, actors, directors, musicians,
Oh,
but
wow.
don't get a lot of comedians. So I love it because I have that like sarcastic humor which like never gives up seemingly. Like
Yes.
I love to laugh. I love to go to comedy clubs. I wish there was like a Christian comedy club like that. That's all that was like every weekend that's what they had was
Yeah.
clean jokes and funny jokes and but unfortunately there isn't. But I watch them on Netflix and things like that. There's a lot of cool shows on there. So tell us a little bit about yourself first because some people may or may not know who you are. So, like, give us a little background on you as a person, like where you're from and everything.
Well, I grew up in Chicago, and I started my comedy career in Chicago. It's in 1978. So this is my matter of fact. This Thanksgiving will be
40
40
years.
years that
Yeah.
I've been doing this. So, and I was certainly not a believer back in 1978, and worked comedy clubs probably 50 weeks a year, pretty solid
Wow.
until I met my wife. About 8 years into that, I was 30, 31 years old, and I got married, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit, but not much. I ended up doing 35, 40 weeks a year on the road, and I got into a 12-step program when I was 31 for alcoholism, and they told me to pray. I said, to what? And anyway, I didn't believe in God, so it took me 8 years before Christ captured my heart. I was about 40 years old, and we moved a lot in our marriage. We moved from Boston to Jersey to Phoenix, and then ultimately wound up in Nashville. And probably 20 years ago, I was in, well, I don't know, it was 9/11. That's when I was, because it was
Wow.
2001. I was in Las Vegas working, and I couldn't get home after the towers went down. Had 7 days, and I told my manager when I got back, I need to find a new place to work. I can't be out 5, 6, 7 days at a time anymore away from my family.
Yeah.
Tired of it. So anyway, we reached out to churches. I was a new Christian, and didn't know if they would hire a stand-up comic or not. And when your resume is about 18 years of nightclubs and casinos, pastors are a little hesitant to give you the pulpit for an hour.
Exactly. They don't
So
know where it's going.
yeah, so I ended up hooking up with a singer named Bill Gaither.
I kind of know who that is.
Yeah, and I didn't know who he was. And I came home after lunch with him and said to my wife, I think I just had lunch with the Elton John of gospel music. And anyway, he picked me up and gave me some credibility certainly within the marketplace of Christianity. And so now I kind of hop back and forth between secular and Christian and um, corporate work. So, and now we just put a tour together called Make Comedy Great Again. It's non-political and clean, and I like that. We did 6 trial shows up in New York and Connecticut, and the comments in the lobby after the show were pretty much universal. We're just tired of politics, and we're tired of dirty comedy, and it was kind of neat. You could bring out 3 generations to the show, and you don't have to worry about getting into a fight or covering your kids' ears or what. And 2 hours of just really, really quality comedy. So,
And it's it to these days. Now, politics used to be funny when Johnny Carson talked about politics,
Right.
but like it's not funny anymore because you can't make fun without making people mad.
Well, you know
Like,
what? The difference is Carson never did it with malice.
no,
There was no
and
malice behind it, and today it's done with malice. The intent is to cut. You're cutting people. You want them to hurt, and that's the difference.
it's
And
making someone
everything
laugh
has
at others'
become political now.
expenses.
It's just
No.
we're a nation of slogans and protests now, and if you're not outraged at something, then you're really apparently well, what they think is that you're just not paying attention. And I'm old enough to remember when people disagreed and were able to eat meals together and live and love together, you know. But it seems to be different now. So anyway, we decided we'd put three guys and a gal up on stage. And the one rule, you know, no politics. You can talk about anything else as long as you keep it clean. And we all have different points of view. And off stage, we're politically different, completely different. So it's really kind of neat to talk to people in the dressing room and work together and not and realize that you can't differ and disagree and do it civilly.
I'm always curious when you're married, when you do comedy, like on the stage, like do you get like, honey, you can only go here and don't go below here? Do
No,
you have to watch that?
no, God bless me with an amazing. She has a darker sense of humor than I do.
Oh,
So
I think I like her.
if I've crossed the line, she hasn't let me know. She basically, when people interview her and they ask, does he ever say, she says, all I ever ask is if the check clears. He can say whatever he wants as long as the check clears. So, again, it's down to malice, you know,
Yeah.
and there's no malicious intent behind what I say. And the last one I really did that I went to her and I said, look, I was what she got. She went into menopause. And I started talking about menopause, and I said, look, I'm going to do this. People are going to ask if you're okay with this. I just need to tell them the truth. She goes, I don't care. She says, it's nice to laugh about it, you know. So
There's all kinds of like that's a whole comedy routine by itself. Like
well, the funniest thing about that was she went in early. It's not funny. She went into menopause early because she went through breast cancer at 38, and the chemo knocked her into menopause. So by the time she was 40, she was menopausal. And all my friends, you know, so it was years later, my manager calls me and he goes, well, it started. I go, what do you mean? He goes, my son just called me and said, Mom's locked herself in the bedroom. She won't come out. Who's going to feed us? And he said, leave your mother alone. She's going through some stuff here. So just let her be. So,
I think that's a good general rule. If your mom's locked herself in the closet, I think you should just
absolutely. There's
assume
times
the
we all need
position.
space.
Yeah,
That's all. Just leave them alone. Give them some space.
you know, they come out when they're ready. And you know, I did the same thing. I had reproductive cancer, and I had to have a hysterectomy at 35, and it sent me right off the cliff of
Oh,
menopause.
yeah.
So, like, none of my friends were going through it. So,
Right, exactly.
everybody thought I was like, "Dear what?" Like, I'm like, literally, I wake up and it's like I've been in a swimming pool. I
Right.
am
That was
so hot.
Tammy used to wake me up to feel her night sweats. I go, that isn't necessary. I don't
I
need
take
this.
your word for it.
She'd zip my parka open and then feel this. It's disgusting.
And it comes on so fast. It's like your house is on fire to get the covers off. Like
Right.
you know, I know
That's what I
it's
told my sons. You be nice to mom. She's going through some serious stuff here.
well.
Really.
Speaking of kids, I know you've raised two boys, so that has to give you plenty of comedic material for the road. I'm assuming.
Well, the boys, yeah, especially with the teen years, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny now that they're grown, and I actually have friends whose kids are now like 15, 16. And it just brings back, you know, with the driver's ed. I remember when my son came home and said, I need $200. I go, for what? He goes, driver's ed. I go, what? I'm not paying for driver's ed. I said, I'll teach you to drive. So I took him out for an hour, came home and wrote a check out for $500.
I'm done.
I'm never getting in a car with you, man. My gosh. I said, those people at school are grossly underpaid. And my wife
Exactly.
says, "Are you going to take him out tomorrow?" I go, "Not unless Walgreens sells me a morphine drip over the counter. There's no way I couldn't do it. I kept hitting that imaginary brake on the passenger side,
Yeah, we
lifting
used to
my
have
hands
those.
up and go, "Oh my God, you saw the truck, right?" He goes, "No, that was lucky, Dad." And I go, "Oh man."
Uh, well,
Yeah.
see, my girls were the bad drivers. I have two girls and one boy. They're all in their 20s now. And like my son, he drives like Mr. Magoo. And then my middle daughter drives like she drives fast and inaccurate both. And then but then I have
Wow,
my youngest drives fast but very accurate. So like my middle one, she's a pizza delivery. She's in college and she delivers pizza as her job, and I said,
yeah.
can you not get a job that puts the entire, state?
Population at risk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I want to know like where your like where the edge of your delivery zone is, so that I don't drive in those areas on days you work. And
Well,
it's
at least
scary.
she got the job. I applied for a pizza delivery job in my 30s for extra income, and I at that time had been a comedian for 20 years. So the guy looks at my resume and he goes, "What do you do?" I go, "Well, I'm a comedian." He goes, "How does that qualify you for this job?" I go, "Delivering pizzas? You're not
Um,
splitting atoms back there, are you?"
it's,
I can find addresses. How does that go? I find them in country states I don't even live in. I mean, I never got the job. I didn't take my application. So
well, and it's
God bless
weird.
your daughter for
Yeah,
being.
and they have to have a clean record, which means she's really good at traffic court.
Right.
She's very good at it. So your son was in the military. So were you in the military as well?
Oh gosh, no. If I'm a patriot. I love this country. But if I ever wound up in the military, I would grab the first general walking by and tell him straight up, "Don't tell me anything you don't want the other side to know, because I'll tell. I will.
I'll squeal first.
Yeah, I will cave in a minute." I'm watching some movie last year where the terrorists had a guy's hand on the table and they're cutting his fingers off
I
trying to
can't
get
handle that.
information. And he wouldn't tell him. And I kept screaming at this. I was the only one. Tell him! Tell him! They're not going to quit cut. Who's going to blame you? You
Exactly.
know?
I mean, and who says that if that's not enough information, they're not going for your toes and your
Right.
ankles and everything else. Like
Yeah.
just give it up. Like the other side's probably just going to give you a clean shot to the head.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how old are your boys?
35 and 31. Ryan will be 32 in January, I guess. Yeah. So
So
31,
you don't have
35,
the
31.
millennial problem I have. Like,
Oh no, they're like Gen X, but they're getting the millennials are rubbing off on them. They're turning into millennials, which it just basically means they never show up on time to anything. Hey, a guy's dinner was at 6, not 7:30. Hey, we're here.
yeah, I have one daughter that I don't tell her an earlier time because she'll show up too early. And then one daughter, I tell her at least an hour and a half before. And then my son, he shows up exactly on time. In fact, if he gets there a little too early, he'll sit outside and then not walk in until the appropriate moment. Like, they're all three different. It's like they look alike and they look like my family. So I'm pretty sure they're mine, but how they're three so different individuals. I
Yeah, they're wired.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
I got
funny?
I got a passive aggressive one. They'll just tell you whatever you want to hear. Yeah, yeah, that's fine, Dad. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Nothing's really fine, but yeah.
Yeah, and this is the one I remember. I could call my wife when I was on the road, and I could tell what kind of day she had. She'd pick up the phone. What? And I go, "Oh, I just wonder if you wanted some aluminum siding, ma'am. I'll call you back."
Yeah, that's back before caller ID then.
Yeah, she would. I remember when we got cell phones. When the cell phones came in, and all of a sudden I'm getting 6 voicemails a day. 3 from my oldest, 3 from my wife. His were always the same. "Don't believe a word she says. She's a crazy woman." And hers were always similar. "Is it illegal to hit your son in the face with a shovel?" "Forget the shovel. I see him. I'm going to run him over with the truck. Goodbye."
And that's stuff that I think comedy is what's missing from families and marriages. I think so much healing could take place if they would laugh. I like my kids, like I played tricks on my kids like in front of their friends. Like
Oh, it's great.
I raised them to be both slaves and embarrassment tools. Like, they were my entertainment. I couldn't afford to go out and spend a lot of money at some fancy show, so they were my they were my
Right.
entertainment. They still are. I still will show up to stuff and
Well,
um
Tammy, I'll tell you one of her favorite jokes she played. My kids never remember her birthdays. Never. Ever. So one year, this is Aaron was, I think he was in the Army, and so he was in his 20s, and my youngest son was out of high school, so they're adults. My birthday is June 5th, so April 1st, April Fool's Day, Tammy calls both my sons. Don't forget to tell your father happy birthday. So out of the clear blue, I'm getting happy birthday, Pops, love you. Happy birthday, Pops, love you. And I called Tammy. I go, what's going on? They wish me a happy birthday. She goes, those idiots.
They didn't even like double check it in their mind.
I told
Like,
them it was your birthday, so they don't know. April. I mean, it's not even close to June. So, and she just laughed. She just thought that was the funniest thing. I go, yeah. And there's one she did when Aaron was in Iraq. My oldest son was in Iraq, and he was, every week we'd hear from him. Every week he'd send us an email or he'd call us, text us. He was keeping it. All of a sudden, for like a week and a half, we don't hear from him. Now Tammy's freaking out. So anyway, she finally has that. She calls my youngest son. Hey, is your brother online playing video games? And he said, yeah, every night. What's his screen name? So she goes on the Xbox and chimes in. Hey, Aaron, this is Mommy. Call me. Well, all of his gaming buddies start going, hey, Mommy, how are you, Mommy? Hey, Aaron, call your Mommy. And he calls her up and says, don't ever do that to me again. And she said, don't ever go 10 days without calling me. So.
Well, they're lucky because my son would be in the house and he'd have on like the gaming headset, and I'd walk up behind him, like look like I'm interested in what he's doing, and then I would say, "Now, son, did you pick up your boxers out of the bathroom floor?" And he would just grab his mic really quick, like, "Moms, really? Like they can hear you," and I'm like, hey, who's on here? And they're like, hi, Mom. Eventually, it wasn't funny anymore. Like, I used it up. I had to get creative. I would do stuff in the grocery store, but my brother was a big prankster. He would pretend to drag a wooden leg through the mall. He would, like, I have a family of like comedian. So he was basically Robin Williams incarnate. Like he looks like him, acts like him, still does. He has no maturity. Yeah, my kids think he's hilarious, and I said he's hilarious. He can't pay his bills, but he's really funny.
Exactly. He's like most comics.
Yeah, so. He's very irresponsible, but yeah, he's hilarious to be. That's the uncle that plays with you. He may not remember your birthday or anything else, but he's just a jungle gym with a comic show on the side. Well, I'm excited. So where can listeners find out more about you, especially your comedy tour?
JeffAllenComedy.com, and they can get all the information there. And then Make Comedy Great Again Tour.com. For next year, 2019, we're putting dates together for that. And I think I just signed a deal with Salem Radio to go out and do about 64 dates next year.
Oh, my goodness.
For Salem Radio. So we'll they can go to the website and keep up on that. And that has all the Facebook connections and Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And just would appreciate it if they'd follow along,
Well, I'm so glad. I think the more clean comedians, the better, man. We, especially in this era, like where the tension is so, it is so palpable everywhere you go, and people let out on their guard within seconds with a laugh. And I think it's a great tool to reach people for the kingdom, because once they let their guard down, then they are open to hearing, and then they think, oh my gosh, Christians laugh, like they have fun,
well, we have the keys to the kingdom. We should be a lot more joyful.
Yeah, and we should be very happy.
Tell some church audiences, for gosh sakes, tell your face, man. You got joy.
Your mind and your heart have not caught up with your face yet.
Right, exactly.
Well, I thank you so much for taking time. We will share the interview and tag your social media, and that way anybody who wants to hear more about it can do so. And thank you for giving me a laugh of the day. I definitely need it. I need a laugh any time of the day. But thank you so much, and I can't wait to. I'm checking out one of the dates, so which I'm gonna find the one closest to me. But I'm excited to see you out on tour and. Thanks so much for making us laugh, and we will keep in touch with your social media and everything to see when you're coming near us. And if you're coming near our station, we'll send our crew out there if you want.
Oh,
And
cool.
so we'll keep in touch with you. Your press guy is one of my good friends, so
Oh, great.
yeah. So I'll make sure he keeps me in touch too. Well, thank you again, and have a
Thank you,
blessed
Ginger.
day. Have a great week, and thanks again for the interview, and we'll keep in touch. And I'm hopefully see you next year on the road.
I do too. I hope we get down there.
All
Thank you,
right.
Ginger. Have
Thank
a
you
great
so
day.
much.